Hi, thank you for joining us today. Want to let you know that we'll be starting in a few moments. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kelly Westenfeld, and today we will be talking about the majors some majors within the College of Arts and Sciences. We have biochemistry, biology, chemistry, in addition to talking about our pre-professional advising program. Today we have some faculty from those departments as well as some student ambassadors to tell you more about the programs. And then afterward, we will open everything up to questions and answers. So I do ask that any questions that you may have, let's try to save most of those towards the end so we can address all of them. And if you want to be sure to put those in the Q&A section for all participants to see, that would be helpful. But first, I would like to introduce you to some of the faculty and students that are on this webinar with you today. So we have Dr. Paula Sacchetti, who is in the biology department and also director of the Masters in Neuroscience program. And we have Dr. Joanna Boyuchinska in biology, and then Dr. Eric Mahan, who is the chair of the chemistry department, as well as the director of our pre-professional program. And then for student ambassadors joining our call, we have Jill Ernst, Anthony Damasio, Yvonne Ganesh, Willie Taylor, and Sharon Jennings. So they can all say hi to you. So without further ado, I'm actually going to turn our presentation over first to talk about our majors, and then we can open it up to questions and answers. So Dr. Mahan, you are up first to talk about chemistry.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and glad that you could join us today. I hope that you are all doing well and staying safe and doing your best to finish up school if you have to do that. And we want to talk to you a little bit about our programs. For chemistry, first up, talking about what you can do in the classroom. We have two majors in chemistry, a BA or a BS option, Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. There's a pre-pharmacy option attached to the BA major if you are interested in doing our accelerated program in pharmacy. That's in conjunction with University of St. Joseph. We'll talk more about that a little bit later in this webinar. If you don't want to go there specifically, you can also do a BS and still go to pharmacy school. We also have a BS in biochemistry as a major, and that has a pre-med option. Straight chemistry doesn't usually require any biology, so if you're interested in medical school, as you'd expect, you would definitely need some biology as part of that, so that's where the biochemistry major comes in as part of that. We teach in all of the major fields of chemistry, from inorganic and physical chemistry to analytical, and if you like numbers and doing calculations, to synthetic things with organic chemistry, polymer chemistry, biochemistry, fields like that. Class sizes are generally on the smaller side as best we can do. And even at the introductory level, we tend not to have more than maybe 30, 40 tops as far as the number of students. So you won't find yourself in a giant lecture hall with 300 other students taking general chemistry all together. That allows for a lot of interaction with your professor. They get to know you very quickly. As probably the panelists can tell you, I've had a number of them in class, and within the first week or two, we know everybody's name and can call on them. So it's nice to have that, especially later when you're looking for advice and advising, and if you're stuck and need help in office hours or things like that. That kind of small class size is very nice. We have weekly review sessions for most of our faculty that offer that. That you can come into a setting and ask questions if you don't feel comfortable in office hours coming in by yourself. If you think, oh, the professor's going to think it's silly that I'm asking this question, it's more of a group setting where you can come in and ask that and maybe not feel as uncomfortable or nervous about that because somebody else might have that same question. And then there's peer tutoring available as well. We've been piloting some peer support workshops that may be useful where you can interact with other upper level students who have taken the course before, or you can also get a one-on-one tutor through our tutoring center and Center for Student Success. As far as what you do in the laboratory, we have extensive use of many instruments throughout the entire curriculum, as early as the first year, but really ramping up in your second year when you're a sophomore. Quantitative analysis, you do a number of group projects and sort of move from instrument to instrument and get familiar with some of the techniques and working with these instruments. There are collaborative and group projects where students work together and share data and work on a project as a unit. We try to upgrade and make additions to our instruments as needed. If there's a new type of instrument that's useful, especially if it's helpful to faculty research, we may add those to our menu. And if we find that an instrument is starting to age out a little bit, we'll try to replace that with a newer one. So you're very frequently working with top of the line equipment, and we've frequently had graduates that come back and tell us that the instrument that they used in their classes is better than the one that they're working on now in whatever job that they might be doing. So that's always nice to hear. So a lot of experience in the lab, both individually doing things, learning synthesis, learning calculations and safety, and then also being able to collaborate and work as a team, which is, of course, going to be important when you go out into the career world. And that kind of carries over into research. Again, just like we teach in all of the different fields of chemistry, we have projects that faculty are working on in all fields of chemistry and chemical education even sometimes. So looking at how to teach chemistry and what we can do better there. That can turn into an honors research project, either as a thesis or a non-thesis option, where you work on a project with a faculty member. You see in a couple of the slides here, that's Dr. Kraft in the bottom left there, who has worked extensively with a number of students and done publications and other presentations. So students go off to research conferences, whether they be local ones in the Hartford area or national conferences. Dr. Gray, one of our faculty, has taken students to ACS meetings in New Orleans and other locations. So you often get to present some of that work that you may have done as a poster, or you could be co-author on a journal publication and get to submit that work that you've done and contribute to that faculty publication. And that often results in local or national recognition of some of this faculty research. Some of you, if you're local to the Hartford area, may have seen Dr. Kraft on TV at one point. I believe it was Channel 3 that featured his research into hydrogen as an alternative fuel and finding safe ways to store that. One of our biochemists, Dr. Krause, was recently featured on the NIH website with some of her research with detecting and using sensors to detect cancer markers and things like that. So a lot of opportunities to do research if you so choose, and that can be a stepping stone to your future career, job, going to graduate, professional school, in the health professions or anything like that. So a lot of opportunities there. And getting into some of those opportunities, This is an example. We tend to get together at commencement and take a picture with the faculty and all of the graduates. A lot of career skills and preparation that you get. One thing that since this is major specific, we're not talking about the College of Arts and Sciences, but a lot of the skills that you get by being a major within the College of Arts and Sciences will help you to be career ready. And you may have seen that presented previously if you've visited and heard our dean talk about that, but being able to work as a team, being able to communicate, and whether it be oral communication or written communication, and effectively convey what it is that you've done in the lab and what results that you've obtained is extremely important. And that is critical for being able to work effectively. So those skills come not just in the science courses, but in the other courses that you take within arts and sciences. We've had a number of students go on to graduate school in chemistry or biochemistry and pre-medical professions programs, which I will be back to talk about a little bit later. And then you can see a list of a few of the different areas. Certainly you can work for a chemical or pharmaceutical company, but do things like quality control. We have somebody working in global energy policy, chemical safety, beer chemist, kind of a fun one there, but that she consults with the brewers and figuring out everything going on there. Or you can work in business and sales and things like that. So there are lots of opportunities that we'd be happy to talk about further with you should you be interested. And with that, I will stop for now and turn it over to our next presenter, and that is Dr. Joanna Borczynska from biology, and she will tell you all about what's going on there.
Hello, everybody. Too bad you cannot be here. It's a beautiful day in Connecticut, but I hope you will enjoy this type of interaction as well. So in biology, you can see from the list, we have several different possibilities of getting a degree that you would be most interested in. The most common is a BS degree. You can either get it if you want to go to grad school in biological fields, or you can have a concentration on pre-professional studies, and that will be the pre-med option with the BS degree. If you are not interested in graduate or professional school, you can earn a Bachelor of Arts degree, and many employment opportunities in education, environmental NGOs or federal or state agencies, but also BA degree will allow you to further your education in different health professions. As Dr. Mahan mentioned, we have some accelerated programs that you can do with the University of St. Joseph's nearby, which is the biology pharmacy program. So to go into pharmacy, you can do both, either biology pharmacy or chemistry pharmacy program. And in biology, we have a master's program in neuroscience. And if you are interested in neuroscience, you can actually do a 4+1 Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science and combine the biology undergrad with a master's in neuroscience. So instead of spending 2 years in the master's program, you would spend 1. We, just like chemistry, we are small class department. Everybody gets a personalized advisor to guide you through the 4 years of study. We offer career preparation programs. One is a general career, but the other one is a pre-med or pre-health profession programs, and Dr. Mahan will talk about it more. We have a small department, 9 faculty members, but we offer a variety of courses that range from molecular cell biology, genetics, environmental biology, pathobiology, of course, anatomy and physiology, microbiology, and neurosciences. So lots of different fields that are covered. Just like in chemistry, we encourage our students to be active in research, and actually within the new curriculum, you have a position called Learning Beyond the Classroom, which can include internships, but it can also include independent research done with any of our faculty members, and that will be the solid, solid preparation for you if you want to go to grad school. Our research that involves undergraduates can be bench work, like Rebecca did with Dr. Levesque, our geneticist, but it can also include field work. Dr. Binzu is our environmental scientist, and students do environmental aquatic work with him, looking at invasive species. So that's a water-based activity. And then students that are doing research with me go to shark tournaments. I study sharks, but they just do field works involving examination of fish for health issues and environmental issues. So plenty of opportunity to get outside of the lab and do research in the field. Many of our students have careers that are sort of outside of biology, but many of them pursue, especially the BS and the pre-med, pre-health professions people, pursue careers in health sciences. So when you look at the list, I will not read all of those, but when you scan the list, you will see that people go into the master's program in neuroscience at our school, but then they pursue careers in medicine throughout the country and actually also outside in the Caribbean. We have students going to different health arenas. For example, many go to study osteopathic medicine, optometry, etc. Of course, we go into environmental programs. Actually, we have a minor in environmental studies, and this is a very popular program. People in your generation are very interested in the environmental issues. So we have a program that allows you to have a BS in biology, but a minor or a joint major with environmental studies. So those courses include political, social, psychological courses that make you a good environmental steward. So you can see that many of those possibilities exist. So you can choose what career you want to do, and then hopefully perform some research that will enrich your CV to have a better chance to get admitted to those advanced degree programs. And now Dr. Mahan will tell you more about our pre-professional advising program.
Okay, so coming back to me for the pre-professional program, we have an advising committee that helps with this whole process. There are about a dozen faculty that participate in this, and they do interviews with students as well as writing letters of recommendation to help you prepare for your career. And it's really any of the pre-medical professions. So it's often by default sometimes referred to as the pre-med committee, but it really covers not just osteopathic and allopathic medicine, but also dentistry, podiatry, pharmacy, veterinary, optometry, chiropractic, and then there are a host of other careers. If I left any professions out there, I apologize to people associated with those, but it covers that whole umbrella of fields. And we work with you to get you prepared to go through the process. So even as early as the first year, we try to help you start planning and preparing for this. We do have some accelerated programs, as you see on the PowerPoint here, that move even more quickly. The New England College of Optometry is an affiliation that we have. We have one for podiatric medicine, one for pharmacy, actually two, one through health science. That's with the Notre Dame School of Pharmacy in Maryland. So not the Notre Dame that's a little bit more famous that you may be familiar with out in South Bend, Indiana, but there's the University of Notre Dame in Maryland that has a pharmacy program. And then also locally to Hartford, University of St. Joseph's has their pharmacy program in downtown Hartford with some wonderful new facilities that we've had an opportunity to tour and then New York Chiropractic College. So in these cases, you save a year in the process. You apply after your second year at the University of Hartford, and then after you complete your third year, you then attend these schools. So you're saving a year of tuition. That's a great benefit from a financial standpoint. The thing that you do have to think about is that you really have to hit the ground running with these programs and be ready to work as hard as you can to do the best you can and be ready to be accepted into these programs. Take entrance exams a year earlier than planned. So it is a nice option for people that are really ambitious and want to do that. It's not for everybody, though. And sometimes people start out with these programs and then they decide that they either really like it at the university and can't imagine not spending four years here and finishing out with a regular degree, or they just figure that it's a little bit ambitious and they'd like to take their time with that. So that is one option that we have. Let's see if we talk a little bit more about the advising. Again, starting in the first year, sophomore and junior years as well, different courses to help students prepare for this whole process. In the first year, we really just expose you to all of those different careers that I mentioned. Not everybody is aware of some of those options. Podiatry is one that people aren't really that familiar with, sometimes optometry or chiropractic. So we invite in guest speakers, often alums of the university when we can do that. But if not possible, then it may be somebody that we just know very well that is well-versed in the profession that comes in and talks about what they do on a day-to-day basis so that students can make an educated choice about what career they want to pursue. Then as we get into the sophomore and junior level, now we're really trying to get you in the direction of the application process. So working on writing your resume, maybe doing a mock interview with career services so that you can learn good interview skills and things that you may need to work on. Is it not making eye contact? Is it using and kind of pausing and stumbling a little bit with your answers? We also do practice admissions tests during these years to help you get ready for taking those, just like you've taken the SAT or the ACT, perhaps. Different programs have admissions tests as well. There's the MCAT, which is the famous one for medical school, but optometry and dentistry also have similar type exams that you have to take, pharmacy as well. You normally have to write a personal statement, just as you probably wrote some type of statement or essay with your college application. You have to do that for the professional schools as well. And anybody can take these courses. You do not have to be a chemistry or biology or biochemistry major in order to be pre-professional. Most of you that are here today are probably interested in those particular fields, but if you decided that you wanted to be an English major, you could still be pre-med. If you have a musical talent and play the piano, you could go to the Hart School and do piano performance and also major in biology or be pre-med. In fact, we had a student not too long ago that did that very thing. So it's really a career track when we talk about these pre-professional programs. Pre-med itself is not a major, or pre-dentistry, any of those. So you are a biology major on a pre-dental track, or you are a biochemistry major on a pre-med track. So you could also be a history major on a pre-med track or any of those other areas. So we will still work with you. We will still advise you. We often advise students that have graduated and maybe done something else, whether it was a graduate program or work to save some money for the whole process and then come back to apply. We work with students long after they've graduated, a year or two later. They decide that they want to come back and change their mind and now go to apply. So we are here to help with that and advise during that whole process. Some of the requirements for these programs, medical school is probably the most challenging one, so we'll talk about those. Others may have slightly lesser requirements. There are a number of prerequisite courses, and you see some of those listed there. As long as you take those courses, you are more or less ready for medical school. So that's where you would fulfill these certainly within a chemistry, biochemistry, or biology major, These could be electives if you were majoring in a modern language or history or psychology or any other field. You could take as your elective courses outside of your major general chemistry, organic chemistry, genetics, introductory biology, and things like that. Minimum GPA, we give 3.5 as a guideline. Certainly the higher your GPA is, the better, but you can get into medical school with less if you have other good things going for you, just like you may hear people get in to college with scores on the SAT that are less than what that school's average is. But it's usually recommended that you have that as high as possible. One thing that could offset that is if you have strong scores on your admissions tests. So if you do very well on the MCAT, that could make up for a slightly lower GPA, or vice versa. Strong recommendations from faculty, and if you've done any kind of clinical work over the summer or during breaks, those are very useful sometimes. That's where having the small class sizes really comes into play, because if you get to know your professors very well, they can write a very pointed and direct letter of recommendation for you that's not quite so general and less specific, and they can really speak to your strengths and your abilities. Clinical and research experiences we talked about, it can be a plus, and there are opportunities, as we mentioned in the 2 majors, to do that. They look at motivation and perseverance. Maybe as you were getting used to college, you struggled in your first year, but then you got better and better as year 2, year 3, year 4 went on. That's something that schools definitely like to see, that you didn't give up and that you kept working hard. And then extracurricular activities can be important as well, showing that you can do other things and still be successful with your grades and with your results academically. And with that, I think it's time to turn it back to Kelly and our panel, and you can hear not just from me, but from the people that actually live this and do this, so the actual students, and we'll turn that back over to her.
Yes, hi, thank you, Dr. Jahan. So at this time, I'd like to invite our faculty and our students to turn on their video feed and join us for a little bit of a Q&A session with each of you. So to get started, what I'm going to do is ask all of the students, the UHeart students participating today, to share a little bit about yourselves with all of our guests on this call. So the first question I'm going to ask all of the students to answer is, well, we can obviously see your name and what major you're in, but if you can start by telling everyone what year you are and where you are from. And let's start on the top there with Jill and work our way down.
All right. Hi, my name is Jill, and I'm a junior, and I live in Massachusetts.
Anthony?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, cool. I'm Anthony. I am a senior, and I am a bio-pre-veterinary student, and I live in New York.
Ivana?
Hi guys, my name is Ivana Ganesh. I'm a senior and I live in Paxton, Massachusetts.
And Willie?
Hi guys, I am Willie. I am a senior biology pre-med major and I live in Connecticut.
And Sharon?
I'm Sharon. I'm from Brick, New Jersey. I'm a senior and I'm a biology major with a minor in environmental studies.
Wonderful. So what I'm going to do for all of our guests today is I'm going to ask each of you some specific questions that kind of highlight what you do both in the major and within the UHeart campus community. So Willie, how about if we start with you? And I'd like you to talk a little bit about the pre-med advising that you have received and how that helped you to receive your summer fellowship.
Yeah, so I took PPS 100, 200, and 300, and at the end of the 200, 300, one of the requirements is that you have to do a summer fellowship in order to move on. And the summer fellowship that I did was a part of UConn Medical Center, and what I was able to do was I was able to do research in the field and really do things in terms of public health, and I got to do actually research paper on it and present in front of everybody at the end of the 7 weeks. And then this following year, I was invited back, and I was able to do another research project, but more lab-based things. It was 9 weeks, and I got to work with different bacteria and yeast, stuff like that. And then afterwards, I actually was able to get published in a research paper as well. So.
Great, thank you, Willie. And can you share with us what your future plans are for next year?
Yeah, so I am going to graduate school to get a master's in public health. And then after my master's, it's DO school, which is osteopathic medicine. It's a little different than an MD track, but I like it more because it's more hands-on than an MD program is. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Willie. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Yvonne. Yvonne, you are very involved with campus life. So without rattling your entire resume to our participants today, if you could share some of the things you're very involved with, for example, with SGA and especially the research you did with Dr. Owens during winter break.
Yes. So I am really involved in campus. I've been a member of the Student Government Association for the past 4 years, and this year I am a member of the Board of Regents. Another one of my favorite involvement is I've been a resident assistant for the past 3 years, and I am currently in the Emerging Leaders RLC of Hawk Hall. As Kelly said before, my research project with my advisor for my political science major, so she works with marine debris and ocean cleanup. So this past winter break, I was lucky enough to do a short-term study abroad trip in Kerala, India, and we worked with the National Geographic Society to conduct a cleanup of a beach there, and we made a video that is now a part of Nat Geo. This research trip really helped me, and it was part of my minor in environmental studies. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Yvonne. At this time, too, if any of our participants have any questions for any of us, please feel free to start writing those in the Q&A section. Next, I think we'll turn it over to Anthony. Hi, Anthony. So, Anthony, you are also very involved in the campus, and so I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about how you are a red key, an RA, and a red cap, all of the things that are red.
Okay. Yeah, there seems to be a little theme in Hartford with the whole red prefix. My time as an RA, I would say specifically, allowed me to not only more help the students that were, new and out of their element. They were living on their own. They had all these apprehensive ideas, these feelings. And being an RA and helping to alleviate that and create an environment where they could not only succeed, but also make friends. That was kind of the biggest thing that I brought from my involvement with Res Life. And I was able to apply that not only with tour guide, but also Red Caps, which both of those work with prospective students and families. And it's a shame because, this corona outbreak, which is why we're having this webinar instead of the seminar, is throwing things off. But I know that all of those departments are, adapting with the times, and they all have alternatives and supplements. I'm sorry, I don't think that was what you were asking.
We were talking about the things red.
Yeah.
Red cap, red key, being an RA.
I would love to get involved. I made that school my home. I made UHeart my home. And I think that to succeed wherever you go, you have to be a part of that community. Otherwise, you just wind up falling through the cracks. That's my biggest piece of advice to anybody that's thinking of coming here, is to get involved.
I agree. And then, Anthony, would you please share for our guests what your plans are for next year?
So, my plans for next year, I recently just accepted an offer to attend LIU Post's inaugural vet school class. So I'm going to be specializing in exotic animal conservation veterinary medicine. And hopefully within 4 years, I will be both a UHeart alumni and an LIU Post alumni, and be giving back to our world. And, and taking those tools that I learned being all things red, you know, being inclusive and working as a cohesive unit, and I can apply that later on in life, I think. I don't know. I'm very close today.
Thank you, Anthony. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Sharon. Hi, Sharon. You also are involved with many things on campus. If you can talk a little bit about how you are a tutor, what those services look like, how that works, your environmental studies minor, as well as the club that you are very involved in.
Yeah, so I'm a tutor, and I've been a tutor at the university since my sophomore year. I predominantly tutor a lot of the science classes because I'm a science major. And I was actually able to be a part of the piloting of a new tutoring option for the university called Peer Support Workshop. Dr. Mahan mentioned it briefly earlier. And it's just kind of an opportunity for an undergraduate student to teach other undergraduate students about the course and kind of help guide them through it in a way that not only helped you do better in the course, but also working closely with the faculty member to make sure that you really are helping those students and staying on track with what they're teaching. And it's really awesome. The Center for Tutoring Success also is very helpful whenever you need a tutoring appointment. There's group options, and they actually have walk-in hours now too. So if you're ever struggling in a class, if you go downstairs in the library, odds are somebody will be there to help you. I'm also involved with the University of Hartford powerlifting team. I've been on that since my sophomore year as well. I'm the fundraising chair, the social media chair, and the vice president of the club. And kind of like Anthony said, definitely get involved on campus because that's one of the best things that you can do to make UHeart feel like home. You make so many friends, and you don't even realize how many people are like-minded with you. And definitely getting involved in picking a minor. No matter how busy you are, a minor is really good to help broaden what you understand in not only your major, but other courses that you're taking. And it kind of helps you see the world in a new light, especially like the environmental minor with everything going on today. It's something that's really useful, and it makes you feel like you can really help educate others, even if they're not like other students, like your family and your friends who might not know as much. It makes you really a more well-rounded person.
Great, thanks, Sharon. And Jill, last but not least, two things for you. One, you are involved with LEAD. So if you can share with our participants what LEAD is, what it stands for, and what you do. And then also your study abroad experience.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So I'll start with LEAD. So I'm a part of LEAD, which is a program put on by the University of Hartford's Women's Advancement Initiative. So right before your freshman year, you will get an email, if you're a girl, obviously, from this initiative, and you sort of apply to be a part of this program, and you do a little bit of an interview. And what it does is it's to promote leadership from women in today's society. So each year in school has a cohort. So I'm in the juniors cohort right now, and there's about 30 of us in each year that get together once a week, and we have different lessons and opportunities. We get a stipend of a certain amount of money every year as sort of, they call it a microloan. So you don't have to pay it back, but it's in order to sort of improve your standing for your future career. So for example, this year I spent mine on, I'm hoping to go to Costa Rica over the summer, we'll see, knock on wood, to do a veterinary program there. And I used my money that I got from LEAD to pay for part of that. And for me, I actually learned I was in on my birthday, so it's been a really special program. I've met, I have these amazing sponsors, so an older couple that I met through this program, and a lot of my really close friends are in this program, so it's a great way to get involved, as a lot of my panelists have talked about, and to become part of something that's bigger than yourself. So that's LEAD. And then on the other hand, I just came back actually from Ireland. I studied there for a semester this fall. And it was such an overwhelmingly amazing experience. It's really pushed, obviously. I'm trying to go abroad this summer. I'm hoping to do my further education abroad. It just really changes who you are as a person in a really good way, making you sort of more connected to the world. And I would really suggest everyone, actually this school specifically has one of the most amazing study abroad programs in my opinion. I was helped so much every step of the way. I was in constant contact, and they really made it a worthwhile experience.
Great, thank you, Jill. Dr. Sacchetti, I'm actually going to bring you on board now and ask you a question. I was wondering if you could share for everybody some of the research that your student research teams are participating in.
Yes, so I'm a neuroscientist, and I've been at the university now for 6 years. My research involved both, mostly it's focused on neurological disorders, in particular Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer. And I have pretty much 2 tracks. One is a very molecular biology based, particularly with the Parkinson studies. And then a much newer line of research where I got involved in looking at the effect of diet on cognitive behavior, and in particular try to see if we can do at home some kind of diet changes that might help improve cognition in Alzheimer patients. Obviously, all those is in animal studies. I have had several undergraduate students. I would say that I have about, on average, 3 undergraduate students per semester in the lab doing this kind of research. And then as director of the master program, I also have some master students that are on thesis and that do research with me. So that helped us create kind of a big research group, a little bit like a module of what really happens in advanced situations. I was very lucky. I've got a lot of amazing students that decided to join me. And 2 years ago, one of my research undergraduate students, who actually happened to have a BA in biology and not a BS, decided to join my lab and do her honor research, as well as actually participate as a Women Advancement, a Dorothy Goodwin Scholar. So it's a special award or grant that is reserved for women that want to do research. And she was able to do research with me on Alzheimer and probiotic studies. And she won an award to go to the biggest national conference in neuroscience, and was lucky enough to present there. And because of all this great success, she is actually also an author in a paper that we are preparing right now. And she is now a PhD student at University of Alabama in neuroscience. So that's mainly what the type of research that students who do with me end up doing.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So again, I invite all of you that are on our call today to put your questions in the Q&A box. We're all here to answer those for you. While we're waiting for some more questions, ambassadors, if we just want to go down the line, starting with Jill, and if you could give one piece of advice to all of our participants today on the call, if they were interested in coming to University of Hartford, what would be your advice?
Yeah, so I think it's difficult for us to talk to you guys because it is a little bit of a different circumstance for you with this whole coronavirus issue. But I would say you have a really interesting opportunity to reach out to some of the faculty from this school, because not only in general are you art teachers really friendly, but I think they're more willing in this time to sort of talk to you because, everyone's on their email, but also it's your best chance since you can't really totally see the campus right now. So definitely use this experience to your advantage is what I would say.
Anthony?
Yeah. I think, I already said the importance of getting involved. And I think rather than give you guys a piece of advice, I think that for the unfortunate students who can't be touring a university right now and have to do it through the computer like this, I think what I really want to stress is that the university, and what made me choose it, was that there is such a family aspect on the campus. All the students know each other. You can't go into a classroom or a building or a hall without knowing at least 2 or 3 people there. All the faculty know you. It's a first name basis, and you're not a number. And I think it's going to be very tough for the university to kind of show that through the computer. So from one student, or former student rather, to one perspective, if that's what you're looking for, this is the school for it. And it makes getting involved so much better when it's like that, because these people become routine and almost like family because you see them so much. That's it.
Thank you, Anthony. So I'm going to pause on continuing with the piece of advice. We have one participant to ask the question to all of you student ambassadors. What's the most frustrating thing about your major? Anyone like to take that question?
Labs.
Yeah. I can talk if no one else wants to.
Thank you, Jill.
So I would say I think it's super easy to lose sight of like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's really easy to get overwhelmed by the amount of work, the complexity, but honestly, why I came to UHeart was because of the faculty, and it's been the faculty and the community that's really gotten through to me through this issue. Honestly, you know, I used to joke around with my friends that I'd have like a meltdown every week about just how tough and how exhausted I was, but having those friends to go to who knew exactly what I was going through, and having those teachers that I could reach out to and be like, you know what, I'm over my head, I don't know what's going on, I'm so confused. They would be there for me regardless of the day, the time, or as long as they could email me, they'd get to me.
Wonderful, thank you. Let's see, we have another question. Dr. Sacchetti, I'm going to direct this one to you. The question is, in order to be a part of the 4+1 bio/MS in neuroscience program, do you have to immediately declare this major, or could you become a part of the program in your sophomore year?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, what I'm doing this year for the first time is I'm asking students to let me know if they plan on it so that I can keep an eye on them. But in reality, you would kind of declare the 4+1 intention to your advisor during your sophomore year, so that you would make sure to register for the Introduction to Neuroscience course in the fall of your junior year. That's kind of one of the ways that we gauge success potentially in the field. And then that would pretty much be it. And then you would declare your real intent in the spring semester of your junior, so that in the senior year, you would be able to take at least a couple of graduate courses at the same time as you finish your BA or your BS in biology. And the way it has been done is that those two graduate courses, one double counts for your undergrad and your graduate degree, and the second one would be one of your biology electives that then instead get replaced by one of the neuroscience master levels. And so if you succeed in these courses, automatically you are transferred to be matriculated for the master program. And therefore you would continue that summer to take some more courses and then complete your program, hopefully within the following year. It's possible if you're doing maybe a research also to extend it to the following summer, but it would really mean that between the summer, between senior and master, you would do some classes, you would have one entire year of master courses, and maybe finish up in the following summer.
Great, thank you. Sorry,
I just noticed someone has asked where would they be able to work at if they take the master degree in biology. I think that any place, any pharmaceutical company or any startup company that has bio background, not only just neuroscience background, but in general biology and molecular biology, would be happy to have a graduate student who has a degree, an advanced degree in biology at that point. And for example, one of my thesis students who's finishing up right now, even before finishing up, he already got a job, and he's a research associate down in Fairfield for a startup company that does genetic testing.
Great, thank you. Let's see. So in the meantime, while I wait for some more questions to come in, we'll continue down the line of the piece of advice that you would give. And Ivana, you were so nice to just kind of throw in that you have a job for next year. So if you want to tell everyone what that job is, and then, you know, what your piece of advice would be for everyone.
I was listening to you ask everyone at the beginning, and then it totally hit me. I was like, oh, wow, I accepted a job for next year. I would say my piece of advice, and I think all of the panelists here can agree with that, is try something like outside of the box. I would say my entire major is not what I would have intended to graduate with. I'm getting a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science with a minor in Environmental Studies. And when I first declared it, it made no sense to me, no sense to a lot of my professors, but one thing about the faculty here is they're really supportive. And I said, I want to do these two majors and I wasn't going to budge from it. And all of my professors in the chemistry department, the political science department, they worked with me endlessly to find classes that overlapped, and I'm able to finish my major in 4 years. Also, another piece of advice is you can make change on campus, and that's one thing that's so special to me about UHeart, is if you have an idea or if you want to plan an event, if you want to change something, you don't like how something's going, there's people that you can reach out to that are really there for you. And if you're passionate about it, it's something that you can get done. And that's one thing I think that sets our university apart from others. And as Kelly mentioned, I just accepted a position working in the National Security Program at Pacific Northwest National Lab. And I was able to get that position because of my professors. Dr. Pence in the chemistry department kind of helped me find a position that is a mix of chemistry and politics. And I want to work in public policy. So this position, I will be working in the chemical and biological sciences and able to work within the sciences and public policy. So if there's something you want to do, don't be shy about it. You can get almost anything done on campus that you want to.
Great. Congratulations on that job, and thanks for the advice. Willie, what would be your piece of advice for all of our guests today?
A lot of the good ones have already been taken, but I think my biggest piece of advice would be that to take everything that you're learning in those 4 years and just stay in the moment, because 4 years is going to fly by. It seems like a long time, but it's going to fly by pretty quickly. And there were some times when I was just like, I just felt like I didn't take it in and I didn't enjoy it enough. And now that I'm off campus, it really sucks. So I think that, whether it's things in your residential life, whether it's things on the academic side, whether it's good, whether it's bad, just take it all in and just reflect on it. Just take a moment to just, maybe a couple minutes a day just to be like, where am I going to go? And just realize what you can do. It can get really stressful at sometimes. It's been stressful for me when I've been procrastinating. But I think that when you're surrounded by really good professors, really good friends, it makes it a lot easier. But just take the time to realize what you're doing and your goals. And sometimes your goals might change, and that's okay. It did for me and it did for a lot of us. So don't let that discourage you from doing things in your future. And just take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and you'll get there.
Wonderful. Thank you, Willie. So at this time, I'm going to bring up some additional questions from our participants. Dr. Mahan, I'm going to address this one to you. If a student majors in biochemistry and plans on attending med school, what minor would be best suited?
Oh, okay. What minor would be best? Really, almost any minor could be helpful. You are probably closest, if you're a biochemistry major, to having a minor in biology, because there's already some overlap there and some biology courses that you're taking. So you could say that, at least as far as staying close to home in your field, that could be helpful. But I think if one thing that our panelists have shown here is that you can branch out and do other things. Ivana's a big example of that with what she's done with politics, because there may be things that could be helpful there. Some people are interested in psychiatry, so psychology minor in that case, and we get things going the other way where psychology majors do take prerequisite chem courses. So some of that could be related to what you're interested in. We've had people that are interested in kind of doing music therapy and things like that. So if that was an interest that you wanted to practice as far as your medical career, then minoring in something in the music area could be useful. So that can kind of be tailored to what is of interest to you. there are some, as I said, safe answers like biology or something of that nature, but you can really feel free to branch out into just about anything as a minor, and it can be an asset in some way. Sometimes people that go into dentistry or optometry that will be practicing on their own find it helpful to minor in something in the business area, because when you're running your own practice, you have to know how to handle running a business and doing things like that. So that even for somebody in medicine, if they're not thinking of working in a big group practice and they want to practice on their own as a primary care physician, something like that, that could be helpful as well.
Thank you, Dr. Mahan. Yvonne, I'm going to bring this next question to you. One of our guests is asking, how can you do more than one major and focus at the same time?
That's a really good question. Personally, for me, it doesn't feel like I'm doing two separate majors, mostly because they're two areas that I'm very passionate about, and I couldn't see myself just doing one major. So for me, I guess my passion and my dedication and just really my love for science policy, I'm really interested in climate change and science policy and kind of adding a scientific perspective to a lot of policy making. So I think kind of having the why that you're doing something and just figuring out like what your 5-year plan is or what you would like to do with it after definitely keeps you motivated. I will have to say it does get stressful. They're very different coursework. I'm in lab for one of them, and then I'm writing 30-page papers for the other majors. So finding the overlap can sometimes be difficult, but as long as you're passionate about it, it's a lot of fun.
Thank you. And then Sharon, we're going to come to you for your piece of advice for all of our guests today.
Kind of like Willie said, a lot of the good ones have been taken, but definitely trying to establish relationships with as many people on campus as possible. And that goes as far as like people who just work on campus, other students, graduate students, professors, just really trying to establish relationships and take advantage of the fact that the University of Hartford is such a small school and you do get such individualized attention from all of the professors. You really want to take advantage of that from day one. Don't be afraid to go to office hours, and don't be afraid to go and reach out for help, or just go to something alone. If none of your friends want to go, still go. Just really try to branch out and make as many relationships as possible in the time that you're there.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. Faculty, I'm going to ask the same question of you. Dr. Borczynska, we can start with you. What's your piece of advice for our guests today?
To follow your passion. And remember that life without passion is not the real life. And at this stage in your life, your brain is still very plastic and open to crazy ideas, and follow them. And use the university education to deepen your passion, maybe find a different one. Keep an open mind. Remember that you can switch majors. It's never too late for that. Well, not as a senior, but even as a sophomore, you can still switch majors, and just keep open-minded. That's my advice.
Thank you. And Dr. Sacchetti, what is your piece of advice?
I think that Dr. Borczynska gave the best one possible, and some of the students who are here in the panel have had me before or heard me. I always say, follow your heart. That's the only thing that's going to get you through anywhere you want to go. But one of the important pieces, and I think that the ambassadors here all spoke to it, is that you have to get to talk to your professors. And I understand as a freshman it might be hard, but if you start there talking to faculty, maybe the ones that are in your intro classes, in your majors, being biology or being chemistry, you start creating relationships, and it always becomes a lot easier to ask questions. You all will have an advisor, and that's a special relationship, I think, between you and one faculty member. But I often have been asked questions by a lot of the students who have been either in my classes or the ones who keep going by the corridors all the time and ask an opinion. And I think that has allowed us to create a complete answer and help students really find where they want to go and why they want to go. and maybe help them troubleshoot some problems that they did not dare to bring up to their faculty member or to their direct advisor, just because it's a friendly conversation. And so I'm not saying that we are going to be, all the faculty become friends with the students, but I think that there's a very tight relationship, and especially the seniors can, even junior and seniors, can talk to the fact that we all care, and our goal is only to make sure that whoever comes through us gets wherever they want to go in the best state of mind possible.
Great, thank you so much. Dr. Mahan, before we get to you for your piece of advice, we have one student who asked a question about forensic science while majoring in biology. Would anyone be interested in taking on forensic science? I'm happy to address that as well.
Well, I can say we don't have a minor or major in forensic sciences, but you could look into graduate schools, and a bio major will be preparing you very well. But Kelly, if you have something to add.
Yes, so as Dr. B mentioned, we do not have forensic science as a major or a minor. We do offer a science with lab course on forensic science that is taught by the medical examiner in Hartford. In that course, she addresses blood splatter, hair sampling, all the things that you would see, in any of those CSI kind of shows. Also, there are some courses within the criminal justice program that may address the forensic field in relation to criminology. But then also, and Dr. Mahan, you might be able to sort of back me up on this, a lot of what happens with forensic science is chemistry. Dr. Mahan?
Yes. There's a lot of chemistry behind that. Sometimes when you see some of the stuff they talk about on the TV shows, and they talk about what the gas chromatograph did or things like that, those are instruments that we work with in chemistry. So while we don't have that major necessarily, you can springboard into a graduate program by doing one of the majors in sciences, and then going on to specialize as your graduate work in the forensic field. So that would be a way to get to it.
Thank you. And while we have your attention, your piece for our guest.
Let's see. Yeah, it's always tough going last, as some of the student panelists saw, I guess. You only get to do this once. And these 4 years, as they've said, go by very quickly. Whatever career you go into, and you could potentially change careers, but you're going to be doing your career for the better part of 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. So there will be plenty of time for that. Don't be afraid to explore and do things. If you want to study abroad, if you want to get involved in things, this often comes up with people applying to medical school, and they say, oh, I don't know if I want to do a master's program first to get more experience, or if I want to, I really need to save some money, but I don't know if I want to take a year or two off to earn some money to pay off some of my college debt before I go to medical school, something like that. I need to do this right away. One extra year because you explored some other opportunity is going to be a small blip on the radar when you look at the big picture from your entire career. So definitely be willing to explore other opportunities. And then I'm going to copy everybody else because I think it just can't be said enough. Do not be afraid to ask for help and ask the questions when you have them, because that's, Dr. Borchinska talked about passion. The people that are doing this are doing it because that is their passion and they want you to succeed. We're not necessarily going to make it absolutely 100% a piece of cake and make it easy on you. We're going to challenge you because we want you to learn something, but we also do ultimately want you to succeed. So we are going to try to help you to learn all of this and do all of these challenging majors and things like that. And just like you wouldn't drive down the road with your check engine light on continuously, you would take it to a mechanic. If that check engine light comes on that you feel like you don't understand something, go and talk to your professor or your tutor or whoever and get help. Don't feel like you have to do it all on your own and carry the entire weight of everything that you're doing all by yourself, because there are peers and there are faculty and there are staff at the university in some of the counseling programs and tutoring programs. There is a whole network of people out there to help you in whatever way that you might need assistance getting through this. So take advantage of that.
Great, thank you, Dr. Mahan. So at this time, if our participants don't have any other questions, although I do invite you to ask more, I would like to thank everyone for participating today, to all of the student ambassadors, our faculty members. On the next slide here, I have the contact information for both myself. I oversee recruitment for the College of Arts and Sciences, but for Dr. Sacchetti, Dr. Boyachinska, Dr. Mahan, this webinar was also recorded and it will become available to all of you after today. That will be information through the admission office. So if you want to watch all of us again, you can do that, as well as clicking on the links for both the biology and chemistry department if you are interested in seeing the curriculum outline, for example. But if you don't have any other questions today, I would like to thank all of you for participating. Stay safe. If you need us for anything, we're all here for you. Please ignore my daughter in the background. And if you have any questions, if you go to hartford.edu, there is a little ask button in yellow on the screen. You have the opportunity to speak with someone live at the admission office Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30. So thank you again, all the panelists, all of the participants, and be well. Thank you.